Hello there. Hi, it's me, Scott. What did I forget? I forgot to cough. Hi. I don't want to work on heat today. I just don't want to do it. I'm not feeling it. I kind of see the path forward. I just don't want to. I don't want to follow that path right now. So I think what we're gonna do instead is just like some tool chores, and it's very simple. It's a very easy thing. It's mainly I just want some Fusion 360 practice. But first I want practice picking wallpaper because that's critical. Let's go with this. First try. So let's open up Fusion. So I want to preface this, and I will stress this continually through the stream. I'm very absolutely maybe a slight step beyond absolute beginner with Fusion 360. I wonder why it has decided to sign me out. I don't know. I like it. There's lots of things I really like about it relative to other software I've used for designing things to be fabricated. The main thing I like about it is that it is actually software for designing things to be fabricated, which I've done lots of drawings for things to make in Illustrator, which is horrible for that. Illustrator is horrible for things that need a relationship in the real world, except for maybe things that will go to a printer, maybe. But as far as designing objects, that kind of thing, not great. So let me just make sure we're not looking at anything secret. Let's make a new project. We got like a tool organizers project. This is going to be a simple thing. So I have starting to build out my tool collection in a serious way, a semi-serious way. Look at the thing I'm thinking out. I have some decades of tools that I've been dragging around with me, but some of them are not in great shape. Some of them were low quality to begin with. Some of them have just are fine, but they're just thrown into a place that they don't belong, and I would like to have a little bit better organization. Really, so this is partially about that, and partially about just getting some practice. So this is going to be a pretty simple thing. Basically, what I've got is I have a little set here with sockets and whatnot. I have lost. I think I broke it like 15 or 20 years ago. The actual driver that came with this. I think this box set is extremely low quality. It's probably like a $10 quality set, but thrown into it, I have these drivers, I guess you would call them, and a few bits, and a quarter-inch socket adapter, and some things that actually are fairly useful that say made in USA, and I believe they're Craftsman products, and just not, whatever, not to get all made in USA, because that doesn't necessarily mean, that's not end all when it comes to tools, but often it does mean something. But even just looking, I mean, not even trying to be a snob about it, it's very clear, like just looking at the Torx bits, the quality of the USA made ones versus the let's say import, because I don't know where they're from. It's night and day. Like they're so mushy. It doesn't even. So I think this particular Torx bit, if I had to guess, has never been used, and it looks totally. Would you say stripped for a bit? I mean, it's like rounded over. It doesn't have, whereas this has actual like sharp to the touch Torx teeth. I don't even know what you call those. I'm curious now to know, like, I want the anatomy of a Torx bit. Like, what do you actually call? What is the terminology for the blades? What'd you call them? Ooh, don't like that. I want a glossary of parts here. I like to know these things. I like to know these things. So I mean, we know the anatomy of the screw. Actually, we want the parts of the like what do you call cruciform drives? I mean, I almost want to call them like flutes, but that's probably not right, right? What would you I mean, everybody loves a square drive, right? Hexalobular. Recesses in the fastener. Like, what's the... I just want the anatomy here, but... Kind of not seeing it. So, hello Kyle, how are you? This is me just ignoring. So like this. I'm just going to design something very simple like this. I could just buy this thing. It doesn't cost very much money, but I just have some hex shank bits, and I just want to make a little rack for them. And now I got distracted trying to figure out the name of the... I guess I would call it a blade, because if it's in a standard slot drive, like screwdriver, you would call it the blade, I think. Cruciform blade. Okay, let's call it blades, even though it doesn't seem like head, shank, the ferrule, of course, the handle, but that's the part of the whole screwdriver. I want the part, one of the names. I mean, that's the whole blade. That's the tip. What do you call that? I like knowing the obscure names for things. Well, anyway, maybe we'll find it. Let's just get started on this. We're gonna make a beehive. Yes, maybe, sort of. It's gonna just be, these can't be too closely put together, because the largest ones, we're probably gonna do the layout based on the largest ones. And that's the thing we gotta figure out, like how we wanna do the whole pattern and so on. So I don't really know what I'm doing, but I do know it all starts with a sketch. We're gonna make a sketch on this, on the XY plane. Why didn't it zoom into my sketch? It's weird. I feel like normally when I draw a sketch, it just goes in there. So normally I would want to do everything in metric, but in this case we really do have, I mean, the measurements, our base measurements at least, are imperial, SAE. Kyle, how's it going today? Kyle, we need to talk. We need to have a serious talk. Let's start with 2 inches by 3 inches. I don't think that's going to be right, but let's just start with that. So the thing, what I think I want is we have this little particular set. There's 5, I guess we just call them nut drivers. 5 metric nut drivers, of course the same shank size on all of them, and 5 imperial. And I think we just want a little rack where they invert in size. Like the big ones go to small on one side, small goes to big on the other. Twitch does love nuts, it's true. So, Kyle, I built most of you. I don't know how you got control over my mind, but I built most of the heat interaction of like adding time to a channel, all of that stuff. And I got up right to the end of it and I realized something in terms of monetization that's maybe a downside, but maybe it's just reality, is like the volume of people making purchases. If only like one person is buying for the whole channel, it's not very much money unless you like make the time increments tiny. Like you only add 10 seconds at a time or something so that people have to continually be, or 30 seconds. Say it's like 30 seconds at a time. So people kind of have to continually be putting quarters in to extend the heat time. Maybe it's still the best way. So here's what we need to figure out, and here's what I don't quite know. Like we kind of want to instance, I mean, we can make a rectangular pattern. But I don't know how to like reference the rectangular pattern to the overall geometry of the sketch, right? Like how do we? I mean, we could say extent. Presumably, that extent, like, can this be driven by something? Let me show you the not way to do this first. Let's make a polygon. And we'll have a, actually, I don't know what the right answer here is. I think it's a circumscribed polygon. So for example, let's just say in the middle of nowhere, we made our little hex doodad, and we know that it's 1/4 inch. And we know that we kind of want it. I don't really know how to snap this, actually. How do you snap? Wouldn't you think it would be easy to snap to a, like, I just mean the rotational orientation of this. Isn't that weird? It's also weird that that's not a parameter that you can enter. Do I have some kind of snapping turned off that should be on? Comes out, if you had a bikini, sensor on, yeah. Yeah, you're probably right. So I'm very close to having that built. There's still like some very key places, like key pieces of the integration. It ends up being kind of complicated because then anybody coming to the channel also needs to know if there's time and so on, but we can figure that out. So I'm actually slightly lost here, I must admit, because I don't know. Oh, okay. It's just because we were on that line. Anyway, so let's just make this, or is it because we're 1/4 inch? So the way I kind of know to do this, let's make this more like 2.5 by 5 or something. Oops. Two to 1, let's call it. So I know that we could take this and it could be positioned somewhere. I don't know why it rotated. That was pretty weird. Why would it rotate? I don't like that. Anyway, we could take this and we could create a rectangular pattern, and we could say that we want 5 going over a 4-inch distance in the direction. We want this whole thing. Create a rectangular pattern. So say that we want, or like 2 going over 1 inch in that direction, and 5 going over 5 inches in that direction. but I don't know how to reference this. You know, like I kind of want this referenced to this whole thing, like this arrangement, this whole pattern. I want this whole pattern referenced to something, but maybe it's just a matter of referencing this to the center of that. I mean, it feels a little weird, but maybe that is the way to do it. Or actually, maybe this is the thing to do. Maybe we want to go symmetric. And then this is really only a distance of 2.5. So what's the on center? That gets a little weird, right? So this one actually is just one direction. Yeah, so I did start, I mean, it's very rudimentary, but I did start building a very rudimentary. Let's just look at it real quick. That's not what the stream is about, but you're here. I'm glad you're here. But I'll show you the bad version of it currently, just so you can kind of see the bad idea. But then the idea is that the UI of the thing you're talking about, like the heat time remaining, is actually part of the extension itself, not part of you know, the overlay in the browser or whatever. So if I do, this is terrible. So I just want to be clear, this is not designed yet. But so the idea is there would be, we run the heat broker. Let's run the heat front end. And this is npm run dev. So this button doesn't work in the developer rig because Twitch is a terrible joke. But basically, this is the terrible UI right now, but it just shows the time in the corner. And then as people buy, so this is a buy, like you can see me right now, I'm just buying 5 seconds at a time. And it adds up. And then so there would be a persistent timer as people did it. We could show their names, you know, we can show their names as it gets added. We could have like, yeah, like a fuse sort of thing going around the corner of the screen to show how much time is left. And the tricky part was, so like when a new person comes, that the time is still persistent. The thing that isn't added yet, that is critical, you know, other than just not having it look dumb, is we have to, and this part kind of sucks, but it means that every click that comes through, every single click that comes through, we have to validate whether or not there's time on the channel. So that means every channel that is monetized needs somewhere to push that. Like when a broadcaster says, monetize my channel, it sticks in the back end. So it's a bit of a complicated thing, but the underlying foundational pieces are there. Yeah, and then so everybody can click butts and we'll all get rich. And Kyle, you get a cut of all of the goodwill. You get a goodwill cut. Okay, so kind of confused about this though. I did 5 over 5 inches, so should it actually be 2 over 2 inches? No, that's not how math works. I guess we could say we want a specific spacing between them, and then that would make it a little easier. Like if it's 1 inch and 1 inch, for example. What has happened here? That was weird. Change this to spacing. Change this to 1. What happened? Okay, there it goes. Okay, so then the issue though is like our source friend is here. I don't know where that rotation comes from. That's driving me a little bit crazy. Why do we get rotation? I see, it wants to be... So I think we don't like this. We don't like that constraint. Oh, that's sort of a bummer. I mean, we want to say, okay, I guess what we want to do is while we're happy with this, I'm confused, honestly. What's like, I really don't understand why as I move this, the orientation is changing. I mean, I guess I'm okay with this orientation. It's pretty weird, but it would do that. In my mind, I want them rotated 90 degrees, but I don't actually know how to do that. I mean, if I pick this and I just do a move and do a rotate and do can't even see the z-axis. How do you do this? I also made all of this weirdly sideways. Like, I could do this. Point of origin's weird. Yeah, it's kind of weird, huh? But maybe this is fine, actually, because I just realized we were rotated. So if this was 5 and this was 2, then that would be okay. Except then our symmetrical distribution is wrong. We actually want this one to be symmetrical. So I'd sort of like there to be an offset or like, because I just want this positioned relative to. I hate that this is messing with the rotation as I move it. That's. I'm just call that not cool. I mean, that goodwill's not free. It is that goodwill costs. That goodwill costs money. I mean, you know, like this is kind of annoying. Why? How do you deal with the rotation of this? I truly don't understand why. I mean, it looks like it wants to snap something. I guess because it is circumscribed. Also, that's not right because it needs to be total 2.5. So this really is. That can't be right. The radius of this. Oopsie. What are we doing wrong here? Doesn't that look a little bit teeny tiny, one might say? Like, what's the deal with this? Okay, I'm gonna start over because again, very new to this, just figuring it out. And instead what I'm going to do is we're going to have 2 sketches. One sketch that is just the base. Because I'm remembering now that disaster always strikes if I'm try to do too much in a single sketch. So let's just have our base. And for now, all our base is 2 by 3. 2 by 4. Okay. And for kicks, let's extrude this by, let's say 1.5 inches to start with. So we're going to end up with this business. And then also for kicks, let's start with just shell. And let's start with like a 4 millimeter. That's probably much too much, but we're just going to have a little shell here. So we've got a little shell. And we don't want to print this much material. So we'll try to come up with a way to, I mean, we could just bool out a semicircle would be a thing we could do just to have less material. But anyway, now let's make a new sketch on top of here. I've really thought maybe I changed something. I've thought it used to be that anytime I would make a sketch, it would automatically space itself, kind of. Okay, so these are in half-inch increments. So let's try this, and let's try to we'll try to put one where we know we want it. And I believe we want a circumscribed polygon. And I believe we want it right here. And the thing I'm a little confused about, I think this is 0.125. I think. The thing that's annoying, like the orientation of the polygon is really confusing me. Like I don't want it to have any. I want none. And it's weird to me that you can't enter that. And I'm like trying shortcuts, whatever, to make it not do that. I mean, am I just missing something extraordinarily obvious? I want to create a polygon. I believe I want circumscribed. I believe I want that polygon right here. And this is almost fine, except I think that's, since that's the radius, it's twice the... So 0.125. So can I do this? Can I grab this and force this to be... force that to be horizontal? Like, will that mean that nothing bad can ever happen to it again? And can we dimension this from the center? Just say it's 1/2 inch. And then can we... I don't really know how we make this... I don't know if that's the right thing to do. I think it's not. Like, how can I fix this? So I can fix it, but doesn't that then means I can't... Oh, green is selected. So if I have this, so if I have this, for example, and I try to make a pattern from this, a rectangular pattern from this, can I do 5 over 4 inches? Symmetrical spacing, and 2 over 1 inches. Seems like a no. I mean, the position of this fixed, but not the size. So I don't really know what to do about that. Like, you know what I mean? Oh, I got out of editing my sketch. Okay. You know, I kind of liked this to say that was half an inch. But how do we say the size of this polygon is set in stone? I mean, is it like I mean, you say you're over constrained, but where is that measurement then? What dimension is over? There it is. Okay. And what happened to my horizontal constraint? Like, what about this isn't fixed, you know? Like, what, I mean, if this is a polygonal constraint, and it has a set dimension, and it has a set position, what's, is it this? Okay, I see. What is this dimension? Okay, so we'd really want those to be on center, like these to be centered, you know? Like we want it centered, and then we kind of want it centered with an offset, I guess. I don't know. But I'm not going to worry too much about that at this moment. I mean, I want to try to be good, parametrically sound, but well, I mean, if we do change the size of that, okay, let's think about how to do it. Let's not do this. Let's not do this. Let's make some, maybe back on this other sketch, we add construction lines, and then we know we can be centered. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So let's finish this sketch. Let's go back to this one. And let's just make sure that we have a couple construction lines that are centered with midpoint constraints, right? And then let's go here. And let's say we want this to be, what, collinear? Coincident? I think we want collinear, right? Or midpoint. Really only wanted that to happen on one axis though. Can't remember how to do this. We want to snap this like constrains a pointer object to the midpoint of another object, but we need both, you know? So I guess we could have a construction line that was offset 1/2 inch. So for example, if we have this construction line, and then we know that this construction line and this construction line are 1/2 inch, then are we happy and we can make this a midpoint constraint? I mean, is that actually midpoint for both? Seems to be. Seems happy. Okay, so we have a line that's off there. Great. I don't know if we've really done this correctly, but Looks constrained to me, and we should be able to change those outer dimensions, and it should be fine. We should always be in the middle, and then 1 inch off the middle there. Maybe? So now we'll try a rectangular pattern. We want 5 on this axis. We want a spacing, we want symmetric, and we want 1 inch. Between, which is probably much too much, actually. So what would be a more reasonable layout? So between the 2 biggest sockets in any one set, you really wouldn't want to go tighter than maybe let's call it 5/8. So that would be, this would be one idea, one way to do this. Oh, I just had another idea, actually. Yeah, I'm curious about like how you drive some of these things. You drive some of these numbers, because you could kind of do the opposite and have the outside border driven by you do the reverse. Basically, this could be your master sketch, kind of. Like, this is the sketch you want to be the master, and then the outer pieces. We do 5/8, we're not going to be centered here. We'd have to go back here and make this 5/8, half of 5/8 to have that little layout. And then, yeah, it kind of would have been better to drive this the other way, right? Like, Well, that's not right. It should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5/8 times 6 on this side. And then 5/8 times 3 on this axis. Would be one way to do this. I'm going to say we do 1 less, so the outer dimension is half, so this is just 5/8 times 2 and 5/8 times 5. So that would be, this would be a thing we could do. Pretty little and compact, and would hold all the business. And then this we then use these to cut. I don't really know the best way to do that. Do you just extrude down? Oops. 0 from there. Okay, I didn't do that quite right. Or maybe I did. Okay. So now we have these holes. Great. So what is the actual height that would make sense here? If we only want to go... So really the whole thing could be an inch tall. So this extrude could just be an inch. I don't know if I'm going to like this once we see it, but we'll see. And then this shell feels way too thick, right? I don't really know how to think of this in inches. 2 millimeters? Is that okay? Eh. So then the thing we want to do is like kind of, I don't know, get rid of, like eat out most of the interior. I don't exactly know what I think the best way to do that is. I guess my instinct is to add a sketch on this face and have a center diameter circle of whatever we decide is reasonable. So let's call it an inch. And then we want to extrude this. Some amount. Where's that body? So we want to extrude. Oops. I think I actually don't quite like this, but I almost do. I think what we want to do instead, like this is almost okay, but I think we actually want this not there. We want it more yeah, what's the right way to describe this? Like if I could just have it 1/4 inch up and 1 inch, right? And then a rectangle. Can you draw a hemisphere? Probably think you can draw, right? It doesn't really matter. And then we want a like a 2-point rectangle that's tangential. I don't really know how to cause that to happen. I guess like this. And then between, I mean, this is probably just a mess and not the way to do this, but this is how it's working in my mind. Like do this basically. And then there's obviously a better way to do this, but then extrude this from an object, with this being the object, and like -5, and that's a cut. Something doesn't seem to be right. Wait, offset is 0, distance is 5 or -5. I don't know why that's red. I mean, we could do this to object. Probably more appropriate. Okay. Is it red just because it's a cut, or is it red because I've broken something? Any guesses? I'm just say okay. Not the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, but You get the idea. So I want to break these edges, but probably should be a thing that happens right after the extrude before the shell. So maybe we can do this and then go back in time or something. Just break these a little. Probably too much. Something like that. Can we then take this back here before the shell so that the shell conforms to that? Yeah. Right? Right? Can I like mute this for a second? Okay, yeah, suppress that for a second. Okay, so now let's try a sketch on this face, I guess. So this is where it's definitely going to break down because I don't really have any sense of where to put this. I mean, in terms of where it actually belongs. But we know we wanted it a 1/4 inch up, right? So that's here. And then as far as how far over, what did we leave? What did we actually leave from the edges? I don't know the answer. Let's go back to the other sketch and figure it out. So in this sketch, what's the distance between here and here? Is 0.625. So we should probably do that same thing. And then we just need another one of those. I mean, this is not good parametric modeling. I'm using some parameters, but probably not as many as I should. Okay, so we have 0.625 and 0.625, and then this is going to be a bit weird. Like to get this alignment correct, but I think we'll just try to it's too bad that messes up when because I just want that reference. Like I just want that. I want it to keep that, but it loses it. So how do I keep that tangent? Okay, well, we need 2 of these. So one of them is going to just be like here. There. And then one of them is going to be, and I guess we can just do this as 2 pieces. This is just so extremely not the way to do this, but why won't you snap there? Okay. Very silly way to go about this, but it's the way that I sort of know how to do it. Positive there's more appropriate ways, just no question. But I'm not going to let not knowing how to do something stop me from doing it. Okay, do we have everything? No. Why, okay, it should be on the front. So now we're going to try the same thing and extrude from this object base to this object face. And it's a cut. And that sort of seems right. It looks very silly. There were surely better ways to do this, right? Like, just unquestionably better, easier ways to do that. So now let's unsuppress this. And we got our nice little rounded goofball edges. I mean, I'm sure there's a billion ways we could have done this, but like this is going to be pretty weird. The way that the little profile of this leg. I maybe should have just made legs and then made two little edges and then filleted them. Like, just had two little triangles that I filleted, but whatever. Okay. Well, this looks kind of like a thing. It's not, doesn't look good, but you know, it looks like something. And this is only partially decorative. The main reason for this whole feature is to just speed up print time. So let's try this. Let's just see how it goes. Let's see, one, how long it's going to take. I have white filament on there. I don't really want this in white. Let's see if we bust out the yellow filament. Okay, opening Cura. Trade and Nintendo Switch console received $275 store credit. Should I trade in my Switch that I hate? Has this post expired or something? I don't know, but stupid Zelda's gonna come out next year, so I probably should do it. I don't think I've picked up my Switch since August 21st. Okay, well, this is very good. This looks great. What is this? A bit holder for... Okay. It may have been a small tactical error. Okay, actually, speaking of millimeters, though, we do... I'm glad that didn't work, because I did just realize... I did just realize we didn't leave any clearance for the shank of these. So wow, I get 1/4 inch perfectly on the dot. Very good. Which in millimeters is somehow 629, so maybe we're not actually perfect. So these are very slightly undersized. Not by much. Still close enough to read as 1/4 inch, but in fact, let's measure a few of them, because I shouldn't assume that they yeah. I mean, you know, they're undersized enough. Trying to think of how much clearance we want to add. They are, but in theory, undersized enough that they could be okay, but that's assuming that the 3D print comes out perfectly, which of course it would never would. So if we're thinking in terms of metric, bumping up to 6.5 at least is probably a good idea. 6.5 millimeters. If we go more than that, I fear it's going to be too loose. But the reality is you know, you never know. Tolerances on 3D prints are going to be whatever. So probably what we'll do is we'll start this print and just let it kind of get started, and then take it off the printer before we spend 1,000,000 hours. Okay, so let's try this again. What other meetings do I have today? I have a meeting about taking a contract job. Okay, so what's the damage? Well, it's less than an hour. So what about dynamic quality? Oh, I had a lot of changes in there. It's probably going to be more than an hour now, right? An hour and a half. I had lots of very fancy okay, we do want to flip this though, right? So not that way, this way. Does that make you happier? Not much happier. Would have thought that that would have really helped with the time. It may be too thick. This might just be thicker than it really needs to be. I do think I want to turn on monotonic. We do have adaptive layers on. So let's go back to, oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to try low quality. What about low quality? An hour 9, standard quality. So this, let's turn on adaptive layers. Hour 22. Monotonic top bottom order. Hour 24. How thick did we make the walls? 2 millimeters? It's very possible that that's just way too much, but this isn't terrible, you know, an hour. Hour change. Okay, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to go grab the yellow filament and we'll swap it out. I don't really know how we're going to do this, but let's figure it out. I'm going to just try to do this with my headphones on. You won't be able to hear me very well. Hello? I guess I don't need the headphones on because I can't hear you. So I have preheated the filament enough to pull out the old stuff. We'll prep this for storage in my very special storage container, which is just a Rubbermaid bin with a bunch of silica gel. Flush cutters, flush cutters, flush cutters, flush cutters. Some yellow stuff. I feel like I'm bad at changing filament on the printer. I have issues every time getting the new filament in. I don't know if it's just because this is all stock really. I haven't done anything for this printer, so maybe there's some kind of upgrade I could do that would make it a little easier for me to load this. Or yeah, I just have a hard time every time. Try to make it pointier. Why? Okay, got it. Got it. Let's disable the steppers. Gently slide this up. Probably shouldn't do that. Just extruding the white filament out. Okay. Yellow filament happening. And let's auto home. I'm just gonna assume the bed is level. The last time I used it, it might not be, but my bed tends to stay fairly level. Maybe one day, maybe before the end of the year, actually. Oh, you know what? There's a, what is this? Is this my mouse? It is. There is a eBay coupon right now. Maybe that would be a good time to get some filament or and various other printer upgrades, possibly. My mouse come back? No. Nope. Thought I had this plugged in. Nope. There it is. Okay. Okay, so we're going to save to removable drive. So this is our bit holder. Save to removable drive. Eject. And let's see how that goes. So what I will do now, and this is what I typically do, and this may be not the best thing on earth to do, but it's what I do, is just kind of test. Let this print go a little bit, just enough to get a base layer so I can see the sizes of those. Maybe we'll do the whole base layer. I don't know, just to see what the thickness is. Then stop the print, take it off the printer, and try just do a test fit and see. And you know, maybe it'll take a couple iterations. I can't believe how mushy those torques are. This little 1/4-inch socket adapter seems okay, but most of the stuff in here seems of highly questionable quality. But I don't know, maybe if we like this thing, we will also print holders for some of the other stuff in here. I don't know, it feels silly even to say it, but I'm gonna say it. I do sort of want to try to keep the stuff that is clearly USA made and maybe seems a little bit higher quality separate from the import stuff that seems to be of exceptionally questionable quality. I mean, the import stuff is maybe borderline just trash. The torques are so rounded over that they almost might as well just be hex. It really seems like they would not grab anything. But I have more sizes of the bat ones, and I have more sizes, so I don't know. And then unfortunately, it seems like over the years, the bits, the USA made bits, it looks like a lot of those have gotten lost to time, lost to the ages. And unsurprisingly, it looks like, funnily enough, it's funny, they have a little bit different finish on them, even though I'm pretty sure these were from the same set. Like a little bit different. The color of the metal is a little different. Yeah, so this seems like sort of a abbreviated set. I just glanced over my shoulder and saw that the print quality is not looking good. So what is the problem? So that print, that's a disaster. Bed adhesion is non-existent. Let's stop that. Maybe I do need to level the bed after all. Probably need to clean it as well. Like all the hexes peeled up and just got dragged around. You're actually not supposed to use alcohol in these glass beds from Ender, but I did. So the bed level seems not bad. Let's just try it again with the cleaned up. cleaned up, warmed up bed, maybe things will go a little bit better. I do kind of want to see, let's just see. Maybe this should have been a Black Friday purchase or something, but so Creality, $40. It seems like not a bad upgrade. %50 off power equipment for winter. What was I looking at? 60% off eBay refurbished. So CR Touch. Is eBay the place to get this? Huh. It's like a very fake, like an off-brand BL Touch. Lots of BL touches. Not seeing a lot of CR touches. Might be a nice thing to have. This kid likes his. It's just floating there in space. I kind of want it. Let's add it to cart and pretend like we're going to buy it. I would also sort of like a metal. I mean, I kind of want this. These upgraded. Upgraded screws. And very specifically though, I want like the metal hot end, the or not hot end, just this extruder assembly on mine is plastic, and I don't know if that is why it is so hard for me to thread it. A promo extruder direct drive upgrade kit, 3D printer toolkit. I mean, this is quite inexpensive. I just don't know, actually. I couldn't even see. I don't even know if there is like a little bushing that helps you. Okay, that looks much better. I think it just needed a little cleanup. A little bushing that like helps you get the thing in. In my mind, that would be a little easier on a metal body. But I don't really know. So the place I'm talking about is I guess it's inside. I don't actually show it. It's inside here, inside the, and just basically the backside of this. Like this has a very generous chamfer, but that generous chamfer is on the opposite side. You know, to go, it's from the outside in, that chamfer's fine, but what about to get it inside here? And the okay, you can kind of see it there. So there's no chamfer, no bushing. You just have to hit that little hole. And for some reason, I have a hard time hitting that little hole. We'll see. we'll let it go a little further. At a glance, the sizes seem okay. Maybe they are a little bit undersized, but they seem not too terrible, maybe. So yeah, I kind of want this. But that's not the fancy one though. Isn't there a one people really like? It's this one. Or at least this is the one I feel like I see. This fancy red one. Wait, weren't we just looking at this and it was $10? What is the difference between this one? Oh, it's just the store. I see. Anyway, the one I feel like I see, for whatever, better or worse, I feel like I see the this one. But I don't know if it's any better or different. It does seem like it has a doesn't have a chamfer either. Why do they make it so hard to put it in the hole? Just put a little chamfer there. Maybe I should just drill a little chamfer just to make it easier to get in there. Maybe I could just do that on my current plastic one. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong side. We're viewing the back side. So can we actually see? I mean, that looks... That's where it goes, right? The filament just goes right into that little dude. So this one does seem like it has a little chamfer. This one, it's hard to say, but it seems like it doesn't. So that's almost enough to make me say I'd rather have... I'd rather have this. I mean, obviously I could just hand drill a little chamfer, I guess. Dual gear extruder. What does that mean? I don't know. Look how happy this family is. Look at this guy. He loves it. Laser engraving head. So this is an upgrade. Is this the bargain? Is this a real deal? Because this gets you the metal, you know, extruder dude. The aluminum wheels with the upgraded springs and... But this does not say Ender 3 V2, but... Why wouldn't it be? This one says Ender 3 V2, but it doesn't have the aluminum Okay. Will cause the bed to ride higher, so you need to move your Z top and switch bracket up. Or you okay, good to know. Extruder feeder is mostly good. You will lose the bracket for wiring. There are prints to replace this. When I pounded, the coupler had chewed into the tube and was starting. C-sub 1/2 inch fire and okay, not a fan of the springs here, but if you have scratches, then that sounds like you installed it wrong. So I guess, sort of feel like I don't really care about the upgraded springs if I'm gonna get the CR Touch. I mean, it's pretty cheap. It's almost the same thing, but you don't get the knobs. I mean, obviously I want cool aluminum knobs. Right? That's a given. Okay, we are I said I was going to stop it and do a test fit, but actually the print looks like it's going well. So I may just let it go. I might just let it go all the way. I think I'm just going to let it go. So, yeah, I don't know. Do we get this stuff? I mean, I don't really have a problem with anything at the moment, other than, I guess it'd be nice if I felt like the bed was more rigid. The biggest thing is I just want it to be easier to insert filament, and I don't know that this is going to do the job. It could be that there's just some trick that I don't know, though. That if I just knew the secret, then all would be well. I don't know the answer. I wish I had a little more foresight here. I'll set up the hand cam. I don't really have a terrific way to mount this to the printer at the moment. right? I really should get, I don't know, I just want to pay for it. One of the NDI apps. I just feel like none of them are cheap. I think, unfortunately, they were cheap for a minute, and I just didn't get any of them. Yeah. Well, like, at the beginning of the pandemic, I think... but I believe it is no longer free. 20 bucks. 20 bucks and bad reviews. They've not been updated in a year. I don't know if there's one that's not terrible. This one is at least not a year old. Has 3 whole ratings. Last updated in July. Bad app update. I should just got them when they were free. Blew it. What is the other one? There's NDI HX and NDI Cam. Oh, okay, that's the one we just looked at. I mean, I kind of want it. I do stuff like this enough that it's probably a good idea, right? Do I have any NDI stuff installed currently? I don't think I do. Anyway, I'll consider it. I'll also consider this. I'll also consider looking at tools. It's only $70 for this single step bit. Why? Is it that good? Gear wrench set. Hey. Cute. Cute. So cute. Okay, anyway, well, this thing's printing. I think we'll just let it go. It seems okay. I think the 2mm wall thickness in all reality is a bit thicker than it actually needs to be. I think I do that every single time, but it won't hurt. I think it will be better to have a little extra thickness. It's just, I always think I just I mean, it's not like 2mm is thick. It's just, it may be a little more than needed. Only thinking that in terms of print time. Obviously, in terms of strength, thicker is better. But, okie dokie. Well, friends, maybe if we like these, we'll print some little socket holders, maybe. That's a little bit of a tricky one. Like, there's not a great way to hold a socket. I mean, of course, other than gravity. And we'd have to size... Either we need individually sized holes, which we could do, but would be annoying. Yeah. Be a little bit annoying, but not tremendously so. Wish the heads of these went down a little smaller. The drives. I mean, honestly, most of what I have at the moment is Saga head anyway, so it doesn't matter. So really the thing is, I guess it would be these hex drives, which I unfortunately don't have any good ones of. I only have bad hex drives. But maybe we'll solve that one day in the future when there's a bargain. Other than that, I guess we're done. I do kind of want to print more of these, but I mean, these are really only good for these things that have this shank and have the way that they will like kind of only sink a certain amount. Although actually thinking about that now, there's no reason we couldn't have made them where they just drop fully in, but I kind of like them sticking out, so we'll see. Anyway, okay, I think that is probably all today. Just a short little fusion stream, and maybe we'll do some satisfactory tonight. A busy day yesterday, probably a busy day tomorrow, but yeah, maybe we can get that done. So anyway, thanks for stopping by. Kyle, thanks for stopping by. Anybody watching this in the future, thanks for watching. Thanks for being patient with my let's say not hyper refined fusion skills. But, you know, I learn a little bit every time I do it. And I get the thing done. It's just not exactly, you know, there's things that are just, this is a mess. This is very silly. Or it feels silly. Maybe this is a fine way to do that. I don't know. I guess I didn't actually have to draw these rectangles. I could have just done lines that were tangential to those, and that probably would have been fine, and then we'd have less to select. But anyway, whatever. I think it's okay. So, yeah. Thanks for stopping by, and see you next time. Bye.